Righty. I think we are good to go. Welcome everyone to the Green Masters Program 2026 Kickoff. We are thrilled to have you join us here today. Before we get started, I wanted to go and introduce folks who may not be familiar with the Sustainable Business Council and get to know us a little bit. So I'm Liz Watson, the Member Engagement and Program Manager, and joining me today is Krista Kanan, our Director of Strategic Initiatives. And our mission here at the Sustainable Business Council is to accelerate the adoption of sustainability by integrating it into business strategies and operations, driving long-term impact. And we do this through four main pillars. Our Educate pillar includes events like this and our annual conference that will be in November. Our Measure and Improve pillar includes resources like the Green Masters program that we are going to discuss today. Our Connect pillar includes opportunities to collaborate with sustainability peers. And our Showcase pillar allows you to elevate your sustainability story through opportunities such as the Green Masters program. In addition, we also include sustainability to services to help you on your journey. So for today, here's our agenda. We are going to talk about, well, what is the Green Masters program? And then Krista will stop by and share a demonstration of the platform and talk about the changes we've implemented for 2026. Then we'll talk about recognition, what that means related to the Green Masters program, and talk about our certification mark and status levels, and then talk about some next steps. So what is the Green Masters program? It is a proprietary assessment tool that is designed to help companies define, prioritize, measure, and manage their sustainability performance in ESG areas. It provides a framework of management practices and a dashboard of results. And the topics that are included are both meaningful to your business and also essential to your stakeholders. Organizations that participate in the program achieve a status, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, and receive a top quartile score with a third-party credential validation. And unlike systems focused on solely disclosure or compliance, GMP makes sure we integrate continuous improvement and development along the way using a single customizable framework. So who participates in the Green Masters program? We get that question a lot. So the folks or the organizations that participate are really from almost any industry and that our state has representation in. And we have been running this program for the past 16 years. And in this past year, in 2025, each of Wisconsin's top industries were represented through the program, such as energy industry, power and controls, food and beverage, forest products, manufacturing, and water technology. And it's not just driven by consumer behavior, because approximately 70% of the businesses participating are B2B or business to business. About 10% are B2C, business to customer, and about 20% serve both consumers and other businesses. This truly is a program that's for any company from any industry at any stage on their journey. In addition, when we talk to companies who aren't engaging in sustainability, we find there are a couple of recurring themes that we hear. And one is that really sustainability and ESG, those are just for big companies. But on average, about 60% of the companies that participate in the Green Masters program are small to mid-size with less than 500 employees. While formalizing sustainability programs can seem daunting or out of reach for organizations with limited resources, the Green Masters program is intentionally designed for accessibility, no matter where you're starting or what size your company is. And one of the biggest barriers to engaging in a formal program for companies is often that there are too many terms or topics or frameworks and they just don't know where to start or how to prioritize their efforts. So the Green Masters program helps break down the how of sustainability and focusing on what's material to the organization and its stakeholders and driving sustainability deep into the company's operations and strategies. We don't want to muddy the waters with yet another disclosure framework, but we recognize that while a lot of other frameworks provide useful benchmarking and recognition, most aren't effective in helping companies find that success along the journey. So the Green Masters program not only facilitates that engagement, it sets participants up for meaningful success if they decide to go on to participate in other frameworks. And in fact, over half of the participants in the Green Masters program do participate in those other types of programs, such as EcoVadis or B Corp certification. And another question that we get asked a lot is, I'm just getting started. What is this going to look like for my organization? What is the roadmap? And what we counsel on is really taking the basis of a standard process, really based on the plan, do, check, act model. So the Green Masters program allows companies to scope their sustainability program based on their priorities to make it relevant to what they can realistically achieve and provide a roadmap for integrating priority topics into how an organization already does business. There are, 16 topics that are shown here across 4 different categories: environment, society, workforce, and governance and leadership. The assessment will begin with a double materiality worksheet, which Krista will touch base on in just a little bit. And that helps define the relative importance of each topic to business and their stakeholders. And then businesses self-select their top priorities, and only those priorities are included in the assessment. This approach allows companies to start wherever they're at in their journey and build on it for success. Once an organization has selected its priorities for inclusion, they go on to answer topic-specific questionnaires in a company-specific assessment. Each topic-specific questionnaire includes 3 components: system development, implementation of best practices, and performance improvement. As companies establish systematic management practices for their priority topics, and then they implement those best practices in managing those topics, performance improvement just flows naturally. And scoring follows the same logic. So about 40% of the points are available for development of systems to measure and manage performance in that topic, with about 30% of the points are available for implementation of best practices, and about 30% of the points are available for performance improvement. Each questionnaire is assigned a point value that reflects the effort related to implement that action and the impact that action has on performance. And questions, scoring, and supporting resources are reviewed annually by a committee of subject matter experts to ensure the program remains current and aligns with best practices in sustainability disclosure. So we don't want Green Masters program to be just another sustainability survey. We want it to be a tool to empower companies with the resources and the insights they need to develop integrated sustainability programs. And over 50% of the participating companies in the Green Masters program use other disclosure frameworks. And that's mostly driven by their own organizational goals or by stakeholder demand. However, if you have participated in the frameworks you see here, you'll know many of the most widely used frameworks are simply too complex and all-encompassing for companies that are just getting started on this journey. That's where the Green Masters program comes in. By aligning with those frameworks, the Green Masters program provides scaffolding and a clear roadmap to help companies build sustainability programs that drive real impact, while setting them up for success in other frameworks and rewarding progress as they mature and manage their material sustainability impacts. And new this year, we're excited to share, is that we've created guidance for how the Green Masters program aligns with some of these more widely used disclosure frameworks. And Krista is going to talk about that next in her demo. So I will stop sharing because now we're going to switch over to a demo of our platform and talk a little bit more about the changes. We will have an opportunity at the end to ask any questions. So just so you know that. Oh, great. I can see that, Krista. That's looking good. And I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. I shared and then realized I hadn't yet turned my camera or mic on. So appreciate the patience with me. Great. Good to see you all. So I'm going to run through some updates to the platform and supporting resources that are new this year. As a lot of you know, and as Liz pointed out, the Green Masters program is built on that concept of continuous improvement, right? You start where you are today and you improve over time. We take the very same approach to the platform and program itself. So we start where we are, and then we're going to continue to improve it over time. So part of what we want to share with you today is some of the improvements that we've made for 2026. And in fact, I'm going to show you two different versions of the platform. One is what you'll see when you log in, like this is what it would look like. But the main thing I'm actually going to show you is let's say the next release of the updates that are going to be coming this week. But we wanted to share these because for most of you, when you actually log in and use the platform, this is what you'll see, but it'll also kind of flip back and let you know like, hey, just so you know, this is what it'll look like today. So just caveat here, what I'm showing you is the coming soon version that will be what you'll see when you log in by Friday at the latest. Let's just put that on by Friday at the latest. All right, so that's this. So main changes that you're going to see here is just going to be formatting. So flip back. This is what you see when you log in today. Slightly different fonts and colors, streamlined in what you're going to see rolled out later this week. So main thing, but this one's prettier. So I'm going to show you this one. Okay. So first one, business profile, not many changes there. That's going to be nothing to worry about there. The next one, materiality worksheet, point out a couple of things. This is largely the same as you've seen in prior years. So as Liz noted, it's a double materiality process where you consider the relative importance of each issue in terms of impact to your business and importance to your stakeholders or stakeholder interest. So impact to your business is kind of that like outside in. How does this issue affect us? And then the stakeholder interest is like the inside out. How are we impacting stakeholders and what do they care about when it comes to this topic? So each topic, again, as Liz pointed out, and maybe you caught, maybe you didn't, there's actually 16 topics this year. In the past, we've always said 15 topics. Well, that's because new this year we have, and I'll switch over to this one to show you, new built environment topic. This was essentially by popular demand. We had a lot of folks saying, hey, we care about energy and greenhouse gas. We care about water. We care about waste, but no, we don't have a big enough impact to use those standalone topics. The energy management topic is too in depth for what we just have an office building. So the built environment topic is designed to meet folks who just maybe have office-based buildings or, facilities that don't have such big impacts that some of the next level topics that really dig into managing of that topic would be applicable. Check out the built environment topic. That was actually developed in collaboration with the USGBC to align with the LEED v5 standard. So just like a lot of our other topics align with kind of the leading framework or standard, the built environment topic aligns with LEED v5 certification. And in fact was developed with USGBC to really make sure it sets folks up for success were you to go on to pursue LEED certification. So first change to highlight is that this year we have a built environment topic. Other than that, again, most of what you'll see on this tab is really similar. Now, some of you might look at this left nav menu and say, wait, where's my materiality matrix? We used to have a tab that said materiality matrix. That's the next change to highlight. That's this priorities tab now. So this is the aspect of the platform that got the biggest overhaul this year. So we redesigned the materiality matrix to make it frankly much more user-friendly and visually appealing. A couple things I'll point out here, aside from the obvious visual improvement. This year, the platform will differentiate between the topics that you've identified as material versus the topics that you've identified as non-material. That is based directly on the results of the materiality worksheet. So anything that you score at 5 or higher in terms of business impact and or stakeholder interest is going to be reflected as material. It's going to default to be included in your assessment. Now, again, as we said, this platform and this program are built to scale with you. So maybe you come through here and you're like, yeah, these are all material, but I'm not ready to tackle that many topics. No problem. You can just turn them off. So just like in the prior version of the platform, you self-select what's included in your assessment. That's all still true. However, the platform will default to include any topics that you identified as material, again, kind of defined as at or above a relative impact rating of 5 in terms of business impact and or stakeholder interest. And that's visually represented in the graphic here. So you can see like dark green, that scores over 5 in both business impact and stakeholder interest. If it scores, over 5 in one, but not the other, that's going to be in this light green shaded. It's material, but it's not your absolute highest priority. And then if it falls into this white section, we would consider that not material. And so that's going to show at the bottom of this page under non-material topics. This is going to default to be not included in your assessment. But as you can see, you can toggle these on or off just like you could previously. So one big, honestly, I think probably the biggest change in the platform would be this materiality matrix and priority selection. All right, next up, again, I'm going to remind everyone, hit save if you make any changes to your assessment, any part of your assessment, before you move on to the next section, or your changes will be lost. So pro tip, and then move on to next. And for this one, I'm actually going to switch back to the development, the coming soon portion, because there will be some exciting new features here, including yet another thing by popular demand, print assessment. So I actually didn't point this out, but on the priorities tab, you can print your matrix, and it will pull up a really nice graphic that shows your material topics, your non-material topics, kind of based on that relative ranking, with a nice graphic. Then you can go ahead and clip this and use it in your disclosures or stakeholder communication. You can print it physically or save it as a PDF. We added the same thing on the assessment. We got questions all the time. How do I save my assessment? How do I know how I answered? Again, right, the platform itself will retain your most recent answers. So anything that you filled out last year that's still included in the assessment, meaning if you answered a question and that question isn't changed or isn't significantly changed, your answer will be retained in the platform. However, if we significantly changed a question or adjusted the points associated with that question, or we added a new question, those are going to appear as unanswered in your assessment. And we don't retain like the final version of what your answers were in the prior year. So there were several ways to capture that information. But again, we got so many requests about it that we added a print assessment feature. So now you'll click that, and it will show all of like every topic that you elected to include in your assessment. So again, only the topics that you identify as priorities and opt to include in your assessment will appear in your assessment, including the printed version, and it will capture however you answered that at the time you printed it. So you can print that to, get input from other folks in your organization, or you can just make them a user and ask them to enter those answers directly. You can also capture it at the end when you hit submit your assessment, and you want to take a snapshot of what your answers were when you submitted. You can use that print assessment feature. So again, right now I'm showing you what is called the development environment. This is coming soon by Friday. When you log in, you won't see it. So don't freak out if you log into the platform right now and you're like, wait, I don't have a print assessment. Give it a week, try again, and it should be there. But we just thought it was warrants showing you all that because we got so many requests about it. We wanted to show you, even though it's not quite live yet, in the spirit of continuous improvement and transparency. Like, isn't that what sustainability is all about? Other than that, I'm going to show you in a moment in our member resources in support of the Green Masters program, where you can see a more detailed accounting of changes to the topic specific questionnaires. For the most part, outside of the major changes of adding a built environment topic, and we also changed the name of product circularity and life cycle management, which is a mouthful, to just product sustainability. Most of the other changes are relatively minor, but again, I'll show you in a moment where you can find a more detailed accounting of what those changes are. The focus of this portion is platform specific changes. So again, right, like, this looks nice, but then look, it's even nicer in the updated version where all the formatting is clean and the colors are matched. So coming soon, check back in a week. But again, this is what you'll see when you log in this week. This is what you'll see when you log in next week. Final piece I want to point out on this part of the presentation is on the dashboard. So many of you who've participated in the program before might recall that we have program rules around how many topics you have to include in your assessment to achieve each status level. So we recognize that if you're just starting out, right, if you would fall in this like adapting bucket, you might say, look, I'm not going to do 10 topics. I can handle 3 topics, right? Or 1 topic. So you have the flexibility to include as many or as few topics in your assessment as you elect to. However, there's a minimum number of topics required to achieve recognition from SBC at each status level. Liz will dig into a little bit more of the nuance around recognition. I'm going to emphasize what the platform does differently this year, which is in the past, we expected our participants to remember and know how many topics you were going to be required to include for your status level. This year, we made it even easier and we built it into the platform. So now, let's say you only included 3 topics in your assessment and you're doing stellar in those 3 topics. You got 90% of points in those 3 topics. Then in the previous version of the platform, this would tell you that you were at mastering status, you were a grade master, but really we could only recognize you at adapting status because you only included 3 topics. Now the platform is going to tell you that information. So if you achieve a higher percentage, which is how status levels are determined, it's based purely on percentage. So of the topics that you elect to include in your assessment, all of the points available get added in. That's the denominator. And then all of the points that you achieve in those included topics, that's the numerator. And we go points achieved divided by points available, and that's your percentage, right? That's unchanged. That's still true. What the platform will tell you now is if you achieved a higher percentage than the number of topics you included, then it will flag that for you. So then it will prompt you to go back and add more topics to achieve that higher status. And it will tell you how many topics you are expected to include versus how many topics your assessment currently includes. And then you can click here, it will bring you right back to the priorities tab. So you can add more priorities and fill those out in the assessment tab. And then, so that's your overall score. Again, as a reminder, you're also going to see in, a topic specific score. Again, this is just a straight percentage of the points available in sustainable transportation. You achieved 46% of those points. So if you go to the assessment, you'll see the actual number of points available out of points achieved out of points available. And if you go to the dashboard, you'll see that reflected as a percentage, but those mean the same thing. You can even check our math, and I please do make sure the platform is honest. But we've done a lot of quality control. You don't have to worry about it. So you'll get a topic specific score and then an overall score. Again, you'll only receive a topic specific score for the topics that you've chosen to include in your assessment. And then your overall score is just based on the number of points achieved out of number of points available for the topics that you included in your assessment. So it's unique to your company, but the minimum number of topics required is standard across the program. Once you're all the way done, and I'm going to go back to this live version to show this. Once you're all the way done and you're sure that everything is going to go, you can hit submit. Another exciting new feature this year. Some of you may recall that we introduced self-certification statements a couple of years ago. Because the Green Masters program is a registered certification, and it's a self-certification. We added in a statement so that it kind of gives you a moment to say, yep, I am confirming and certifying that I answered this correctly and that you are aligning with that certification language. So this is actually like maturing status, like certification language. This is the certification language. So now, rather than having you fill out a separate form, it's right in the platform. So this is the same language. If you've done this before, is the same language that was in our self-certification statements that we've done previously. It's just now built into the platform. You can click OK. And it always takes a moment, but you click OK, and then it says assessment submitted, and then you'll get an email notification saying, it's just an auto-generated email saying that your assessment was received, and then Liz will follow up with some more information. Again, because we'll formally recognize participants in November, I'll let Liz dig further into what the implications of that are. That's coming up next. But for now, again, that's the summary of changes to the platform new this year. The next piece. So when we say the Green Masters program, we're talking about the platform that houses the assessment, but also the supporting resources. There's so much educational material that goes into the supporting resources. So I just want to emphasize for those of you who are members, how you access those resources. So if you log into the MemberClicks portal, you go to this Green Masters program dropdown and click Green Masters program. You can also go directly to the platform from here. So that drop down will take you to the Green Masters program platform. And we have a whole bunch of resources in here. I won't go through all of them, but I'm going to highlight a couple of changes. So first of all, this is where you can find the program introduction and roles, that self-certification statement. If you want to know more about what that is going to look like when it prompts you at the point of hitting submit in the platform, you can go there to that self-certification statement. Is also where you can find the 2026 summary of changes. So again, I said I'll give you a little more detail about the specifics of what was changed. We actually publish this each year. We started last year. We publish a very similar summary of changes each year, and you can always find it here in the program resources section. I'm not going to click on this because it'll make me download it, but this document here is actually an Excel-based version of the full 2026 assessment. So each topic is broken out by tab, and it's a resource that you can use to keep track of who in your organization responds to which questions, right? Which actions are you targeting for improvement next year? What documents would you rely on to claim credit for that action if a document exists? So it kind of starts to help you build out your management systems in alignment with the Green Masters program. that has nothing to do with the actual assessment. So there's no upload, there's no auto populating the assessment. If you fill out that Excel format, that's just for your records. It's just a resource that we've found useful in working with companies doing sustainability disclosure, just sort of a best practice. So we thought we'd provide that resource for you. As always, there's topic-specific reference sheets for each topic included in the program, including materiality. So I'll just take a moment. It kind of describes how we have come to the point of how we define materiality in the Green Masters program. And then we also provide some high-level guidance on, for different types of organizations, which topics we expect to be material based on our knowledge of the program and our knowledge of that industry. This is not binding. This is still up to you to decide. But if you're kind of wondering, like, how would I know it's material, or how do I know what others are doing? This resource is available to you in our materiality guidance. The other thing I want to point out here, which is, again, new this year, is Liz pointed out that we align with other sustainability disclosure frameworks. We've done that since the beginning. The Green Masters Program 2.0 was literally developed by going out and reviewing the other disclosure frameworks that are really widely used and making sure we align with them. Every year we go through an annual update process, which is why we reserve Q1 to make updates to the questionnaires, to the assessment, to the platform, because the other disclosure frameworks that we're seeking to align with change, right? Again, sustainability is all about continuous improvement. And just like the Green Masters program continues to evolve, other disclosure frameworks do as well. And so we keep up with that, right? Every year we go out and make sure we're aligning with them. And really the goal is that the Green Masters program could meet you where you're at today, but offer a stepping stone to help you build integrated, mature programs so that if you were to go continue on to do one of the other kind of more widely recognized disclosure frameworks, maybe you have a stakeholder that's requiring it, that you've already built those muscles and built those systems and documentation and all of that through participation in the Green Masters program. But we never had anything that kind of formally outlined that until this year. So I'm just going to select one, Be Impact. Each major disclosure framework, you saw them listed there, offers this. It goes through topic by topic and kind of high level outlines what that framework requires in this topic. Again, this is our summary. So if you're reading in this, you're like, wait, I have this specific requirement and it's not reflected here. This is like a 3 bullet point summary, right? So I'm not going to say this is like the handbook on how to use every other disclosure framework. No, the focus of this is, here are the high level summary of requirements for this disclosure framework, and here's how the Green Masters program aligns with that. So again, every topic, outline. We love your feedback on this. Actually, if any of you end up using this resource, brand new this year, brand new this week, frankly. If any of you have feedback on this, we'd welcome your feedback. So please reach out to me or Liz to give feedback on that. But the disclosure frameworks included are here, and coming soon we'll also have GRI. So Be Impact, CDP, CSRD, EcoVadis, science-based targets, and GRI will be coming soon. So check for that. And the final thing I want to point out here is we get a lot of questions about like, hey, I went through the assessment process. What do I do now? We actually have a guidance document for that. I completed my assessment. Now what? And I think Liz will touch on that as well, but just wanted to point out that you can find that here in the resources page. And I didn't even touch on it, and I'm not going to go into it, but I will say in the learning management system, that's an extra available resource for SBC members. And a lot of these resources are also included there alongside a recorded video, kind of outlining best practices in managing each specific topic. And then the reference sheets that you can find here are also in the LMS. So check that out if you'd like, but all of the basics are all available to you right here in the member portal under Green Masters program. And with that, I will turn it back over to Liz.
All righty. Krista, did you want to cover any of the other tips, or shall we move on to recognition? There was one other slide. Well, I can pull that up actually.
Is it anything? Yeah, is it anything I should be sharing, or should I stop sharing?
Why don't you stop sharing?
Okay.
And then I will bring that up here. So this was what I was referring to. Is there anything else you want to add based on what you shared already today?
Not particularly, other than that, a lot of what you see here is also what you'll see reflected in the I completed my assessment, now what?
Fantastic. Good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is recognition related to your involvement in the program. So we're going to touch on public recognition, our certification mark, and the status levels. So for public recognition, we love to showcase our members. And we respect that some organizations just don't want that public recognition of their Green Masters program participation. And that's fine. When your organization registers for the program, you are provided an option to opt out of that public recognition for that status level achievement. But if your organization maybe has opted out in the past, but this year you do want to be recognized, fantastic. Just reach out and we can make that change for you. We are going to be providing a contact information at the end, so you can do that there. Next is our certification mark, as Krista mentioned. It is registered. And once you go through that process that she shared with you and you click submit and you have your final assessment done for this year, you are certainly welcome to use that certification mark on your website, maybe your email signature, wherever you want to showcase that you've made this accomplishment. But we do ask that you please wait to make any public claims about your status level, and we'll look at those status levels next, until you receive formal recognition from SVC, and that will be at our annual conference in November. Here are the status levels that are included in the Green Masters program. We use these to recognize the achievements on your road to sustainable transformation. And there are 4 levels of maturity: adapting, advancing, maturing, and Green Master. So this shows some of the different details related to that and kind of the main summaries of those. But again, based, as you saw in the demo, based on the number of items and the particular things you choose, and the scoring of that, it falls into one of these 4 categories. And again, each company determines what's material, right? And then all of it falls in and you'll get that kind of recognition at the end. So we just wanted to show what those are. And then also we mentioned formally announcing kind of those status levels publicly. We also go through and we identify top performers at the conference too. So today you've learned about what the Green Masters program is. You've taken a look at what the platform looks like, some of the key resources that we have. So now here are some next steps, which is really your homework. Just to summarize a few options here. If this really is going to sound like a good fit for your organization's sustainability journey to take advantage of the Green Masters program, here are some steps. So first, go to this first page on our public website and just explore a little bit more about the Green Masters program. If you want to look at the other resources or other information about it, you're more than welcome to. This program is included in membership for our business members. So if you're not a member, please consider membership, and you'll have this as a tool that you can use within your company. And if you are a member or you become one, then do that next step if you haven't already to register. So it's a quick, short form that we ask you to provide just a little bit of information so we can get you down the path to know that you actually want to participate. Once you've registered, you're going to be given links and we want you to take a look at the support resources that are available, which is what Krista highlighted today. Once you kind of get your resources, take a look around, do a little learning on that, log into the platform, and you can start entering that information in. And then go ahead and fully update your information in the tool. So again, like Krista said, if you want, use that spreadsheet to kind of work through the questions, work with your team, and then when you're ready, go ahead and put it in the system and either enter information if you're brand new to doing this, it's your first time, or update the information that's already there from last year. So that you can help update your material priorities and get that then submitted. We do recommend, if you would like to be included in that formal public recognition in November, that you complete the assessment this year by the end of September 30th. So like Krista mentioned, first quarter of the year is always our time to enhance the materials that we have for you. And then we open it up and we have it open for you to submit through September 30th. And the reason we stop it at September 30th is that we want to then engage our team and look through everything and determine those status levels that we were talking about and any recognitions, and just get ready to celebrate you at that conference. And then for you, after you submit, develop an action plan that's going to be right for your organization. That great resource is the I completed my assessment, now what? So take a look at that to help you get started down that path.
I have one thing to add, Liz,
Yes.
to that page that I forgot to cover in my platform demo, which is the point of reviewing your material priorities or that materiality worksheet. If you've logged into the platform and it's like the updated version, so if you logged in this year and you try to skip directly to the assessment, let's say you're like, okay, I've done all the rest, I just want to see the assessment and see the updated changes, you're going to get an error message. It's because you need to go back to the materiality worksheet and rank built environment. The platform is set up so that you can't move on until you've completed that materiality worksheet. So it'll throw an error. If it's like the first time you log in, it'll tell you that there's an error. Just go back to the materiality worksheet and give built environments a ranking. It's throwing an error because that's a brand new topic. It won't have a ranking the first time you log in. So give that, you can pick anything. You don't have to like go through the materiality process in that moment, like pick random numbers if you want, and then everything else downstream will work. But if you try to jump directly to a different page, it'll say you don't have access to that. It just means that you need to complete the materiality worksheet. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks for adding that in. Appreciate that. Okay, so now we can open the floor to any questions that you may have. Just going to look.
I'll add to that if no one has questions, but you have feedback or requests for future resources or future development, if you saw something in the demo or resource review that you're like, oh, I wish they would have added this, you're free to say that now too.
All right, no pressure. You certainly don't have to. And you're going to get this recording. So I do want to end then with some thank yous. So first of all, I want to thank our Council of Advisors at the Sustainable Business Council. They are representatives from the companies that you see here on the screen. And we thank them for their sponsorship of our mission, but also their involvement as those subject matter experts. When Krista talked about the annual review that we do and alignment and ensuring the content is set to go for this year, thank you to all of you who have participated in that. It makes a world of difference. If you're a part of SBC, you know, community is huge, and this is just one piece of being a part of the community. And then thank you to you for stopping by and participating in this today and joining us and just learning more. Here is the email address if you have questions, feedback. I mean, this is open all the time. And so reach out this way. And, you know, we look forward to celebrating you on November 17th at the SBC Conference Recognition Event. So that is a wrap
Before
for
you
today.
wrap up, we
Yeah.
did get one question in the
Oh,
chat that I
fantastic.
want to address. So the question we got was, if you've already submitted your assessment, can you redo the assessment with the updated platform? The answer is yes. So whatever you submitted, the content of the assessments were fully updated by April 1st. So if you were able to submit your assessment, you submitted the most current version of the assessment. So if you've already submitted it, it's fine. You don't have to do anything different. It's all set. You'll be recognized. You've completed the most recent version. Everything we've changed is frankly cosmetic. You're welcome to go in and modify your materiality worksheet or your assessment at any point. You can also resubmit at any point before the September 30th deadline. However, you don't have to. And the content of what you submitted before today, even if it looks different in the platform, it's the same questions, the same assessment, so you don't have to.
Great. Thanks for addressing that. All right. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We appreciate it. And we will be sharing the recording with you after this. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.